myself in the right position all the time.
That's a good question. What happens is the center has the ball first, and quarterback will say hike. That's when the center puts the ball into the hands of the quarterback. So what I'll do is I'll start tackling the quarterback unless he give the ball to somebody else, in which case I'll try to tackle that person.
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome, Knowledge Noggins, to episode 7. I hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend. Mine was pretty good. Went camping in the desert. Had a big fire, burned a bunch of tumbleweeds. That stuff lights up like gasoline if it's dried up real good, it's crazy. I had some time with the family. It was good. So episode 7 is drugs. The history of drugs. We're going to talk a little bit about meth, heroin, cocaine, LSD, mushrooms, krokodil, and Flakka. Man, fucking Flakka's fucked up. Fuck Flakka. So today, we're going to pick the minds behind the history of drugs, and we're going to pick the minds to those who have fallen to the inevitable addiction and suffering because of their choice to use such terrible drugs.
Here we go.
Pick the mind. Meth, aka methamphetamine. Meth has several names like crystal, ice, chalk, tweak, and crank, and can take the form of clear, chunky crystals or a white, odorless crystalline powder that can be smoked, snorted, injected, or taken orally. Shove it up your ass. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Unless you want to. This drug is not new. It has a history of dating back to 1887 when it was first made in Germany. Germans, they like the meth. Meth was later made with more potency and easier to make in Japan in 1919. The crystalline powder was water-soluble and easy to inject into your vein of choice. Although, I do not recommend this. You're a silly, stupid person if you do meth. It is highly addictive and it will slowly destroy your life, so if you do meth, please get motherfucking help. Meth was highly used during World War II when several troops used it to stay awake. Just like in episode 1 when I discussed the Nazis using it during the Holocaust, the Japanese kamikaze pilots took meth before their suicide missions. Oh man, that's insane. Insane days. After the war, meth was abused and it became available to the Japanese public from the extra supplies remaining from World War II. In the 1950s, methamphetamine was used as a diet aid and to help with depression. Oh, but on the contrary, it would lead to extreme depression to the addicts involved with this destructive drug. Since it was easily available, it was used by college students, truck drivers, and athletes as the abuse of the drug spread. It even got worse in the 1960s as the increased availability of injectables increased. So people started shooting them up their arms. People probably found a vein on the nut sack. They would shoot up anywhere. Later in 1970, the U.S. government had made it illegal for most uses, and motorcycle gangs controlled most of its production and distribution. Most of the users lived in rural areas and used meth because they couldn't afford the higher price of cocaine. Rural areas. Who comes to mind when you think of meth in rural areas? Does a trailer and a wife beater come to mind? I don't want to stereotype, but it is true. I mean, I'm not saying all meth users live in a trailer and wear a wife beater, but tons do. Tons do. Like Grand Theft Auto 5. You know the character Trevor Phillips? He's a prime example. They're poor and they spend what money they do get on more meth. Statistics, baby. Nah, me. You know what I'm saying? In the 1990s, Mexican drug trafficking set up large laboratories, aka meth labs, in California, producing up to 50 pounds of the shit in one weekend. Individuals have built meth labs in small kitchens and apartments, earning one of the drug's names, Stovetop. It started spreading across the United States through Europe and the Czech Republic, and today most of the drug that is available in Asia is made in Thailand and China. Oh, China. They make like every fuck thing, right? Like, they make my toys, they make spoons, they make wooden spoons, and meth. So, China. Meth is an epidemic. The meth in Wisconsin has jumped 250% since 2011. So many trailers and wife beaters spread about. Mayonnaise sandwiches and people hiding under their mattress because they think the fucking VCR is spying on them. This is my sex box. With the mass production in Mexico, it has flooded many states in the United States. Increased potency and affordability thanks to the drug cartels, methamphetamine does not have a proven medical treatment such as opioids. Therapy is about all there is for meth users. So if you're addicted to the shit, you'll need help if you can't quit on your own. Man, I'm glad I never did meth. I'm grateful I'm sober. I really am. Super grateful. Blessed. I'm a blessed human being. I feel bad for those in recovery who watch Breaking Bad, because probably triggers something in their brain and brings back that craving to do it again. But man, Breaking fucking Bad kicks fucking ass fuck, doesn't it? I love that show. It's an awesome motherfuck show.
Say my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
So what does meth do to your body? Also, I'd like to note that you should definitely avoid Adderall or anything similar to Adderall. It is basically over-the-counter meth. Adderall is an amphetamine, and it makes you feel great when you take one. I know because I have taken Adderall before, and I did feel rather great. Felt pretty good. Felt amazing. But later that day, I went hiking with a friend after taking an Adderall, and we hiked like halfway up a mountain, and I didn't even get tired. So I can see people getting addicted to the shit. But on the contrary, when I came down from Adderall, I felt depleted and depressed. The come down is not worth the high. So fuck that shit, bruh. Fuck that shit right in the ass. Stay sober. It's much better. It's much, much better. Meth, or stimulants like it, work by damaging brain cells that release dopamine into the brain. They overstimulate certain processes in the body, so users may feel more alert or anxious than usual. When it is abused, it causes significant damage to the brain cells. Over time, with abusing meth, users lose the ability to feel pleasure when not on the drug. This is a big reason it is so addictive. They become extremely irritable and violent. It's just all around a terrible idea to do fuck meth. Fuck meth, okay, bruh? Fuck meth. High school and college students are in serious temptation of the drug. They use it to help with their homework and lose weight because it helps them lose interest in food. Just because a stimulant is prescribed by a doctor doesn't mean it's safe to take into your mouths or ass or nutsack or butthole or however you do it. Doctors are either your best friend or your worst enemy. They can be helpful yet damaging, the doctors. So if you want my advice, stay away from prescriptions unless you really, really need medication. And trust me, some of us really, really need medication. The people who are loco in the dome need medication. Short-term side effects are a sense of being on edge, anxious, and nervous. The inability to relax or sleep, increased body temperature and blood pressure, chest pains and irregular heartbeat, dry mouth and headaches, poop in the ears. No poop in the ears, I'm just kidding. Doesn't that sound fun though? Shit. Long-term effects are insomnia, agitation, extreme mood swings, extreme weight loss, or physical wasting. Like your body just fucking gets fucked up. Confusion, delusions, paranoia, psychosis, suicidal thinking, heart attacks, stroke, and collapse. Oh, that sounds fun. That alone should drive you away from even thinking twice about doing this meth shit. Life is much better than that. Your life is long, The high is not. So don't ruin your life with a momentary high. It's just not fucking worth it, dudes. Meth addicts also experience itching and skin sores, rapid tooth decay, and violent behavior. Have you seen those before and after pictures? Man, that's terrible. They look like zombie fucks. One photo I seen, this chick had nice brown hair. Her boobs were voluptuous and perky nipples, like this big pink marijuana-infused perky nipple gummies that I ate in Colorado. Remember those pink purple nipple gummies? Then the after photo, her hair was all orange and crispy looking, looked like Cheez-Its. Her boobs looked like dried turkey jerky. Nah, I'm just kidding about the boobs. But her hair did look like my wire brush I used to clean my barbecuer with. Oh my god, fuck that shit. Have you seen people extremely high on meth ever? Personally, they look insane. I seen a chick clearly high on meth at Walmart, and she was literally running and grabbing shit and throwing it in her cart. I believe there's a video somewhere on YouTube. You know, who would want that? Who would want to act like that? That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as fuck. As I stated in episode 5 about marijuana propaganda, just smoke weed if you want to get high. Or the occasional mushroom trip or for an experience, but I don't recommend doing mushrooms too much either. You want to keep your state of mind, fellow knowledge noggins. Don't fall to the temptation. Don't fuck up that knowledge noggin of yours. Because you want to retain that knowledge and stay smart. You want to be able to listen to podcasts and masturbate and stuff without being fucked up in the dome. Stay smart, guys. I love you so much. You guys want to give me a kiss? It's usually easy to pick out a meth head. You know, it's pretty easy. Just by their demeanor and appearance. They will look skinny, aggravated, animated, and probably missing one or all of their teeth. They can probably eat corn on the cob through a picket fence. Watch out for those people. Some are crazy as fuck. And now, let's talk about some heroin. Heroin. It began with opium, which was derived from the sap of opium poppies. The growth and cultivation dates back to an ancient civilization. Dates back to ancient civilization of Mesopotamia around 3400 BC. Opium was first used by Egyptians and Persians, eventually spreading to Europe, India, and of course China. During the 18th century, physicians in the US used opium to relieve pain in cancer patients and menstruation in childbirth. Baby. It wasn't until the 18th century when they recognized how addictive it was. In 1805, morphine and codeine were isolated from opium, and morphine was used as a cure for opium addiction since its addictive characteristics were not yet known. Oh, but how addictive morphine would become, fucks. Morphine was about 10 times more euphoric than opium. Over time, morphine began to be abused, of course. Then, in 1874, heroin was synthesized from morphine by an English chemist but wasn't produced until 1898 by the Bayer Pharmaceutical Company. Heroin was attempted to replace morphine since morphine was abused. But lo and behold, heroin was also highly addictive. There seems to be a pattern here. They replace one chemical with another in hopes to fix addiction and abuse, but that doesn't help. It's all addictive. Heroin was classified as an illegal drug in the United States. Today's heroin comes mostly from Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Mexico. Usually sold in a white or brownish powder form or as a black sticky substance known as black tar heroin. Black tar heroin from Mexico is the most common drug in Arizona and probably most states. Heroin found on the streets is usually mixed with other drugs or substances like sugar, starch, powdered milk, baking soda, caffeine, cocaine. So if you lack calcium, this isn't the way to get your milk. Ew, gross. I would rather fuck a random ass than do heroin. But luckily, I don't have to fuck any random ass. so that's great. There have been 2 heroin epidemics in the United States, one after World War II and the second began in the late 1960s. These epidemics were subsided because of a lack in purity and an increased cost of heroin. Full disclosure, I did try heroin, okay? I did. I smoked it twice, I believe, and that was it. Thank God I did not get addicted, or I guarantee you I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. So thank God for that shit. Thank God for that motherfuck shit. And that was a long time ago, too. And I'm glad that those days are over. So, again, don't do drugs, kids. During the second heroin epidemic, heroin was prevalent with enlisted soldiers serving in the Vietnam War. From 1969 to 1971, opiates were cheap in that country since the enlisted men were only 18 to 20 years old and not allowed to purchase alcohol. They tried heroin as an alternative. Oh, what a horrible alternative. They usually mixed it with tobacco and smoked it or snorted it. Some other names for heroin are China. Oh, imagine that. China White, Junk, Mexican Brown, Skag, and Smack. Some pill forms of opiates and such are OxyContin, Vicodin, and others like Percocet and Lortab. There are a lot of pain pill types out there. Okay. So what does heroin do to your body? Fuck heroin, dude. Fuck heroin. Heroin binds to and activates specific receptors in the brain called mu-opioid receptors. Our bodies contain natural occurring chemicals. Neurotransmitters bind receptors throughout the brain and body to handle the pain, hormones, and feelings of well-being. When using heroin, these are activated in what they call the reward center of the brain, releasing dopamine, the feel-good chemical. When heroin enters the brain, it's converted into morphine and rapidly binds to opioid receptors. When heroin users use the drug, they feel a surge or a rush of a pleasurable sensation followed by a warm flushing feeling of the skin causing dry mouth. It can cause nausea, vomiting, and severe itching can occur. Yo, you guys want this blender? You guys want this blender? The nut sack can probably become itchy as well. Scratch the sweaty ball sack or dip it in boiling water. That'll help get rid of the itch. No, I'm just kidding about the boiling water, but it could probably help with an itchy sack. You can become drowsy for a few hours. Your mental function is fucked up and clouded as fuck. Sometimes enough to be life-threatening. It can slow your breathing, which can lead to a coma and permanent brain damage. It affects the brainstem, which hinders breathing and heart rate. It can fuck with your emotions, leading to extreme depression, and it blocks pain messages that are sent to the brain. Long-term heroin use can change the physical structure of the brain. Not good. Not fun. That can create long-term nerve and hormonal imbalances. The white matter in the brain can deteriorate, which affects decision-making abilities, which is why they're so fucking stupid. Doesn't that sound so fun? You will have irregular behavior and trouble dealing with stressful situations. Severe addicts rely on the drug just to feel normal. The feeling of pleasure goes away, and if they stop taking the drug, severe withdrawal will happen. Withdrawals can peak 24 to 48 hours after the last dose of heroin. Withdrawal symptoms are restlessness, muscle and bone pain, insomnia, diarrhea, vomiting, cold flashes with goosebumps and leg movements. Withdrawal can last up to a week, but some say withdrawal symptoms can last months. Like I said, the high is just not worth the pain. Stay sober. You can't withdraw from being sober. Life is good. Don't fuck it up. And now, let's talk about some cocaine. Cocaine, yep. So you can thank Pablo Escobar for that, and other people. But he's known as king of cocaine, so... Some other names of cocaine include coke, sea, snowflake, not snowflake, they're separate words, or blow. Although there's probably some cocaine out there called snowflake. Yeah, you got some snowflake cocaine? You some cocaine? The high only lasts about 15 to 30 minutes, which is why people binge on the shit. Coca is one of the oldest, most potent, and dangerous stimulants of nature origin. Way back 3,000 years before the birth of Christ, ancient Incas and in the Andes chewed coca leaves to get their hearts racing and to speed their breathing to counter the effects of living within thin mountain air. Native Peruvians chewed coca leaves only during religious ceremonies. Spanish soldiers invaded Peru in 1532, which broke the tradition. Coca was given to forced Indian laborers in Spanish silver mines because it made them easier to control. Hey, you guys want some coca? Cocaine was first extracted from coca leaves in 1859 by a German chemist, Albert Niemann, something like that, and it became used medically in the 1880s. Austrian psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud used the drug himself and was the first to broadly promote cocaine as a tonic to cure depression and sexual impotence. Oh, but on the contrary, how wrong he would be. How motherfucking wrong this man would be. Only if he realized what he had just started. In 1884, he published an article titled Über Coca, which promoted the, quote, benefits, unquote, of cocaine, calling it a magical substance. Right, yep, okay. Oh, how magically wrong. Sigmund Freud, however, wasn't an observer of cocaine. He used it regularly and even prescribed it to his girlfriend and his best friend for general use. Freud kept promoting the drug to his close friends who ended up suffering from paranoid hallucinations with white snakes creeping over their skin. He also believed that the toxic dose of cocaine is very high, but on the contrary, he gave his friend a high dose who actually ended up dying. That would suck. Giving your friend cocaine, it's like, hey dude, you want some cocaine? Oh shit, you dead? He dead. He dead as fuck. 2 years later, in 1905, it became popular to snort the fucking shit. Hospitals started reporting nasal damages from snorting the drug. In 1912, my phone just went off. That scared the shit out of me. Oh gosh. In 1912, the United States government reported 5,000 cocaine-related deaths in 1 year, and by 1922, the drug was officially banned. But that wouldn't stop people from getting it, would it? Remember my episode of Pablo Escobar? Yeah, the drug is alive and well. It gained popularity in 1970, used by businessmen and entertainers, such as Johnny Cash, and I believe Elvis also did a lot of that shit. And more, I'm sure. People enjoyed it because it provided energy and helped people stay awake. Smuggling was rampant in the 70s and was traditionally a rich man's drug. In the early 1990s, the Colombian drug cartels exported around 500 to 800 tons of cocaine a year, but were dismantled by law enforcement agencies in the mid-1990s, as I stated in episode 3. Still, cocaine is available. I don't think it will ever go away. So what does cocaine do to your body? Well, I'm about to motherfucking tell you, son of a bitches. Knowledge noggin, son of a bitches. Just kidding, I love you. I love my listeners. If you're listening, I love the fucking shit out of you. Oh my god, I love you. Some short-term effects from cocaine after experiencing an intense pleasurable high is immediately followed up by the opposite, which is depression, edginess, and craving for more. Super craving, because it doesn't last long, and they're like, oh man, I need more. You guys want this blended? A lot of craving, just like the other drugs that I've stated. It will greatly increase heart rate, muscle spasms, and convulsions. It will make you feel paranoid, angry, hostile, and anxious. Long-term effects lead to sleep deprivation, loss of appetite, and a person can become psychotic and experience hallucinations. It's basically the same side effects of meth, Some people come down so hard from the drug it can even lead to murder. The depression can be so intense that users can be driven to suicide. So yeah, I'll just stay away from that motherfucker shit. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't. Please don't. If I catch you doing any drugs, I will sick my sheep on you. Having just said that, full disclosure, again, I did try cocaine also. One time though, just once. But multiple times throughout the night because, yeah, it doesn't last too long. Anyway, I was at a friend's house with a few people. I snorted a line and smoked it a few times throughout the night. My mouth had a numbing effect and everyone was talking a lot. It was quite a while ago, so I don't remember everything, but I do remember getting into a hot tub, and we sat in that fucking hot tub until the sun came up. Talk about pruny fingers. That is the one and only time I did cocaine, and I assure you, I will never again. And now, we're going to talk a little bit about LSD, which stands for lysergic acid diethylamide or something like that. Diethylamide? That's it's a weird chemical word. It was created by Albert Hofmann in Switzerland. He began to study the medicinal plant squill and ergot as a program to purify and synthesize for pharmaceutical uses. While researching lysergic acid, Hofmann first synthesized LSD on November 16, 1938, unknowing of its effect on the brain. His main intentions were to obtain a respiratory and circulatory stimulant, but it was set aside for 5 years, and on April 16, 1943, Hofmann decided to take a second look. While resynthesizing LSD, he accidentally absorbed a small amount into his fingertips and discovered the powerful effects from LSD. Hofmann described his first experience in the following. He said, quote, "I was affected by a remarkable restlessness combined with a slight dizziness. At home I lied down and sank into a not unpleasant intoxicated-like condition characterized by an extremely stimulated imagination. In a dreamlike state with eyes closed I found the daylight to be unpleasantly glaring. I perceived an uninterrupted stream of fantastic pictures, extraordinary shapes, with intense kaleidoscope play of colors. After about 2 hours of this condition faded away." Unquote. On April 19, 1943, Hofmann performed an experiment to determine the true effects of LSD by ingesting 0.25 milligrams or 250 micrograms, which at the time seemed like quite a high dose because an actual dose is only like 20 micrograms. Oh boy, I bet he was in for a ride. Less than an hour later, Hofmann experienced intense changes in his perception. He asked his assistant to escort him home. At the time, vehicles were prohibited because of war, so they had to ride their bikes. During the bike ride, Hofmann rapidly struggled with the feelings of anxiety and started to believe that his next-door neighbor was a witch. He felt like he was going insane. His pupils were extremely dilated, but Hoffmann's terror began to go away and was replaced with a sense of enjoyment. He said the following quote, "Little by little I could begin to enjoy the unprecedented colors and plays of shapes that persisted behind my closed eyes. Kaleidoscope, fantastic images surged on in me, alternating opening, then closing themselves in circles and spirals, exploding in colored fountains, rearranging and hybridizing themselves in constant flux." Unquote. The events of the first LSD trip, known as Bicycle Day, proved that Hofmann did indeed create a significant discovery. Oh, how correct he was. Excuse me about that. He accidentally discovered LSD that would later be a big boom in the 60s with the baby boomers and all those bearded long-haired hippies. Oh, hippies. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The Beatles. Pink Floyd. It was brought into mainstream media around the 50s and used by students. Some explained their worries went away, which left them with majestic, quiet solitude. The drug was tested on painters, writers, and composers, as it was believed to enhance creativity. It was even given to alcoholics in Alcoholics Anonymous, and after 1 year, 50% of the study group did not drink. So Hoffman made quite the discovery indeed. An accidental discovery, and yeah, quite crazy. I'd say motherfucking damn. Goddamn. It has a reputation of opening the mind and giving the people an open view on their lives and around the world. Some people enlightened by the experience, although some people have bad trips also. This drug stays in your spine, which is odd. In the 60s, the drug influenced rock musicians such as Grateful Dead, Jimi Hendrix, and Pink Floyd. I love Pink motherfuck Floyd, Jefferson Airplane, and the Beatles. Also, Sid Barrett from Pink Floyd? Yeah, he went crazy. He did a lot of psychedelic drugs like mushrooms and LSD, but I'm not certain on which exactly caused him to lose his mind. Maybe I'll do an episode on Sid Barrett. Sounds like a good topic to do. Also, you guys should YouTube Crispin Glover on the David Letterman show. He is clearly altered, and some believe he was on LSD during that interview show. And I believe David Letterman walked off the show. I think he walked off the stage during that, because Glover was fucking crazy. So what does LSD do to your body? Or should I say, what does LSD do to your brain? Well, there's definitely heightened activity, of course. LSD seems to alter the brain serotonin's receptors, which is believed that LSD works similar to serotonin. I think LSD works similar to serotonin. It may inhibit neurotransmission, responsible for regulating moods, appetite, muscle control, sexuality, sleep, and sensory perception. So let's just say it fucks with the brain and you notice. You notice it big time. I've never done LSD, and I'm not sure that I ever will. Now, let's get into some mushrooms, also known as psilocybin. Psilocybin is produced by more than 200 species of mushrooms. Some other names are psychedelic mushrooms, magic mushrooms, shrooms, mush, and scoobs or Scooby snacks. That's how I've always kind of known them to be. Scooby snacks. Hey, you guys want this blender? Some historians believe magic mushrooms may have been used way back in 9000 C in North African indigenous cultures, based on ancient rock paintings. Statues and what appears to be mushrooms have been found in the Mayan and Aztec ruins in Central America. Oh, those ancients were tripping balls. Aztecs used a substance they claimed to be the flesh of the gods that many believe could have been magic mushrooms. Along with peyote, morning glory seeds, and others, mushrooms were used to induce trance, visions, and to communicate with the gods. But these are not definitive, but more speculation as they were assumed by ancient paintings with no absolute proof. But magic mushrooms began to be eaten by Westerners in the late 1950s. R. Gordon Wasson is a man who studies magic mushrooms and traveled to Mexico to study mushrooms in 1955. He had witnessed and participated in a ritual ceremony using magic mushrooms. That sounds like a fun time. It was conducted by a shaman with the indigenous people who live in southern Mexico. Mushrooms, like LSD, was part of the hippie movement, the baby boomers, hippies, the search for a new form of spirituality. Mushrooms typically come in a baggie like marijuana, which has a few stems and caps which are brown. Full disclosure, I have done mushrooms on a couple of occasions. It was quite the experience, I might add. My mushrooms were brown, but I've heard of people getting some that look similar to the mushroom in Mario Brothers. Have you done mushrooms? Tell me your story. One time I ate mushrooms and went up to the canyon with some friends. We got out, walked around through the trees, and there were paintballs all over the ground because some kids were playing with paintball guns. At the time, under the influence of mushrooms, to me, they looked like little berries. I picked some of them up, and they were all squishy, squeezing them around my fingers. It was pretty cool, actually. I'm like, oh, are these berries? I like to touch and squeeze them because it felt cool. That was fun. But I probably won't be doing that again either. So what do mushrooms do to your brain? Well, mushrooms affect the brain's prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain that regulates abstract thinking and thoughts, which plays a key role in mood and perception. Mushrooms can cause brain damage if someone keeps on eating these magical shit-covered mushrooms, because they can be found in cow manure and in moist areas. I've put them on pizza before. It helps with the taste because they are not the best tasting thing in the world, and pizza sure helps with that. Some claim it makes your brain swell and bleed, but I'm not certain about that. I suppose it could. So that's some mushrooms for you. Let's get into the drug called Krokodil. This flesh-eating drug is terrible. Fuck it. Fuck Krokodil right in its butthole. I'm grateful that I never ended up trying this shit, obviously, and of course, I never will try this fucked up shit. It eats your flesh from the inside out, and is very addictive. If you look at pictures of Krokodil addicts, they have open sores all over their bodies. That's why they call it the zombie drug. Krokodil appeared in Russia around 2002. It has effects similar to heroin. People also call Krokodil Krok, Russian magic, or poor man's heroin. The term Krokodil is said to be derived from the appearance of the user's skin around the injection site because it becomes scaly and discolored, resembling a crocodile. Gross. This is a cheap substitute for heroin, and it rapidly spread across Russia with at least 100,000 people who have injected the drug in 2011. It continues to spread to countries like Ukraine, Georgia, and Kazakhstan. Germany and Norway have reports of its use also. Krokodil is made from codeine. Krokodil attracts those seeking a euphoric high because it is cheap and relatively easy to make. Fuck that shit. Why would you want to look like a goddamn crocodile? Creators often use several toxic ingredients in hydrochloric acid, household cleaners, and gasoline. What the fuck? Why would you inject that shit? Hey, you guys want some gasoline? Hey, you guys want this blender? Gasoline, Okay. Krokodil causes skin infections, inflammation of the veins, ulcers, gangrene, and death of tissue. These infections can spread to other areas and cause organ damage. If parts of the body are badly infected, doctors may need to amputate that part of the individual. Gross. Ew. Some users even share needles. You would be at risk for HIV and hepatitis C. Oh, no shit? Hey, can I use that needle you just shot your nutsack up with? It really needs some Krokodil. It got its name zombie drug because the skin on users can become black, gray, or green. They get scabby and flake off, resembling the skin of course, a reptile or crocodile. As of 2013, there have not been any cases of the use of the drug in the United States. Which, good. Get that shit the fuck out of here. There are photos online of users. They do look quite disgusting. They look like zombies. Or crocodiles, obviously, as I've said a few times already. Yep, zombified human beings. You want to look like a zombie? Do Krokodil. And now, one of the worst, most craziest drugs ever, Flakka, also known as gravel. Flakka. Flakka's fucked the fuck up. It's crazy. Have you seen videos of Flakka? It makes people insane. I do not understand why people would want to even try Flakka after seeing some of the reactions. There's videos of people stripping down completely naked and running down busy streets. People run and jump onto cars while they're driving. I seen a video of a dude run and just randomly get in a stranger's car. It's like, hey, what's up, bruh? You want this blender? I've seen a dude dive through the back of an SUV window like it was nothing. People lie down in a fetal position screaming as if they are possessed by a demonic being. They're like, "Roar," something like that. It's fucked up, bruh. Motherfucking fucked up. Flakka can make people violent with insane behavior. And Florida seems to be the setting of multiple Flakka episodes. One man climbed on top of a building, naked. I don't know why they always have to fucking get naked. Waving a gun around, and another man tried to kick the door in at a police station. That's probably the last place you want to try kicking a goddamn door in. Flakka has similar ingredients as bath salts do. Like another man in Florida, believed to be on bath salts, was naked and literally chewing on the face of a homeless man, like a zombie. What the fuck? Dear God, what is wrong with people? This drug is man-made and produced in China, of course. Everything's made in China. And entered the United States only a few years ago and soared in popularity in 2013. China, if you're listening, stop making Flakka. Stop making all this shit. It's no good. But like what I say will stop them. Nothing I say will stop them from making the psychotic drug or any of the other shit that they make. Another story out of Florida, Austin Harrouf, or something, I'm not sure, Harrouff. Austin Harrouf, a 19-year-old Florida State University student, stabbed a married couple to death in their home and gnawed at the male victim's face. I guess this drug turns you into a zombie. It's fucking... I guess Krokodil makes you look like a zombie, and fucking Flakka turns you into a zombie and makes you want to choose people's motherfucking faces off. Police stated he was grunting like an animal when they tried to subdue him. Wow. Hey, you guys want to do some Flakka? Yo, this shit right here? No thanks. No fucking thank you. You see what it did to a 19-year-old? Austin made a terrible decision that day to try Flakka, and the result was murder. He murdered them in their garage. Austin later states he had really no recollection of the killings, and he stated it was like a nightmare, and that he was running from a supposed demon that was chasing him. Oh, doesn't Flakka sound so fun? Dude, fuck yeah. Fuck. Now he's in prison for the rest of his life, and as far as I know, he's ruined his life. Let's see what one choice can do. Drugs are no good. You gotta know what the fuck drug you're doing if you're gonna do it. And if you ask me, the only two drugs is marijuana and the occasional mushroom trip. Occasional. Don't do mushrooms a lot. But you can try it. You can go ahead and try that. Yeah. Motherfucking Flakka can be snorted, eaten, injected, or even vaped. Ugh. Gross. I would never vape. Well, I would never do it in any way, but if I'm going to vape anything, I'll just stick to my volcano and vape some of that Mad Jane, you slut. Flakka stimulates the effects of cocaine and meth without the price tag, but is 10 times more powerful than coke. The high is much stronger... The high is much stronger and can last for days. Oh my god. Flakka will increase your body temperature to 104 degrees, if not higher, which can cause severe consequences to kidney damage or kidney failure, if not death. It can lead to a heart attack, stroke, aneurysms, or straight up motherfucking heart failure. Flakka can give some people super strength and hyperstimulation. The long-term effects of this drug are not yet fully documented, and it is still fairly new. Still a fairly new drug, and it's fucked up. There was some stuff about cocaine I forgot to mention earlier. So in 1886, coca leaves was included in the popular soda Coca-Cola. Now I know what coca means in Coca-Cola. Imagine if coca leaves were still in the soda. People would be drinking that shit like beer. From 1850 to the early 1900s, cocaine and opium were laced in elixirs and wines. It was broadly used by such people as Thomas Edison, and probably a lot of other people. The drug became popular in the silent film industry, and pro-cocaine messages influenced millions. Cocaine use increased, and the dangers of the drug became much more evident. Pressure from the public forced the Coca-Cola company to remove the cocaine from the soda in 1903. I wonder if there's still any unopened cans from that time. Would you drink one? Ugh. Fuck no, I wouldn't. It'd be disgusting. But it'd be crazy if it was still in the drink today. Now, Let's get into some crazy stories.
Crazy stories.
Here's some stories of meth. One woman was so addicted she gave her BMW away just so she could get high on meth. Wow. Just wow on that one. What a dumbass. A man living with his brother spent 3 hours cleaning the floor, claiming he spilled a soda, but there was nothing there. Then he went to the bathroom for hours talking to himself into the mirror, and he was convinced his brother was talking shit on him, which wasn't true at all. He's just fucking crazy on methamphetamines. One Wiccan woman told police that meth wasn't illegal because it was part of her religion. Yeah, that's gonna persuade the police. 3 students were busted for running a meth lab, and the students tried to tell the police that they were making soap. Oh, okay. Yeah, because students make soap with chemicals used to make meth. That makes sense. Plus, who the fuck makes soap? Another woman wearing a t-shirt that said, "I heart meth," was arrested for dealing meth. Oh, how fucking stupid are people, man. Another woman woke up to a meth head standing there beside her in a bikini, stating she was her guardian angel. Oh, yeah, right. But the most compelling story about crystal meth was about these 2 teens who were only 20 years old. They were very high on crystal meth, believed to be done at a party on New Year's Eve. It was January 4th, 2005, when Janelle Hornickel and her boyfriend Michael Wamsley were heading home to their apartment in Omaha, Nebraska, when they got caught up in a very cold winter storm. Throughout the evening, the couple made a series of bizarre, frantic phone calls to 911, asking for help to find their way home. At one point, Wamsley said they came across hundreds of Mexicans and African Americans who didn't speak English. He said the people were taking cars and hiding car parts in the trees, which wasn't true. They were hallucinating. The couple left their truck behind, which still had a half tank of gas, and began walking in the freezing weather. Not fuck good. The truck had warm clothes and a cell phone. It was minus 10 degrees with the wind chill. Brr, that sounds very cold. They misled the police, saying they were in one place when in fact they were miles away in a different place. They were 23 miles from home, and the truck spun off the road before making bizarre phone calls to 911. Wamsley called yet again, stating they tried asking for help from the imaginary people who wouldn't help them. Oh, imagine that. They said they begged and begged for help, but it's hard to get help from imaginary people. Police officers then told them to return to the truck, but Wamsley said it was rolled over and leaking gasoline, which was also false. The truck was still upright. The couple stumbled upon a small unheated shack. Wamsley called again at 3 a.m. in the bitter cold and said he was going to walk some more. The last call came in at 4:20. 4:20. The couple said they had been out freezing temperature for about 4 hours. In Wamsley's last call, he said, quote, "Hey, this is Mike Wamsley. I have just escaped. Please come get me," unquote. Wamsley's body was found the next day, and 6 days later they found Hornickel's body, both frozen to death. So, as I said, don't do drugs, kids. Hey, you guys want this blender? It'll fuck you up. See what they were walking in bitter cold weather, 3, 4 in the morning, and it's as if they couldn't even feel the cold because of the crystal meth. I'm not sure about too many heroin stories, other than the one I talked about in episode 5, Marijuana Propaganda, but it was about someone my brother knew, who had shot up heroin and overdosed. His head fell back and he puked, which filled up his mouth, and he choked on his own puke. His dad walked in to find him there with a mouthful of puke and said the needle was still stuck in his arm, which is that'd be shitty to find. And he was dead. It'd be terrible to find your son like that, man. I couldn't imagine that. It was the same scene in Breaking Bad when Walter White watched Jesse Pinkman's girlfriend puke and choke to death. Do you remember that? Same exact fucking thing. So let's hop over to some LSD stories. A boy named Jack, who was 20 years old, took his final acid trip when he described what he described as the only one in which I lost the ability to know the difference between what was real and what was induced hallucination. He ingested 125 micrograms of LSD, which took effect while walking on the beach with his friend Bill, who was sober. This was his experience in his words, and I quote, "All of a sudden I was transported to a never land, a deep dark place where everybody was a bug with insect faces, antennae coming out of their heads, and all of this dripping going on with their mouths, snake heads and bobbing around every corner. As this continued, I started raving and going nuts. I was gone. It was 3 hours of horror. I was screaming and jumping around while Bill tried to maintain me. It was one of the most gruesome experiences I can ever remember. I was out of my motherfucking mind and horrified by these motherfucking hideous visions. It was really miserable experience, fuck." Unquote. He actually didn't say the fuck word. I added the fucks. I added the fucks in there. He says he felt disconnected from people after the trip and isolated himself. He lost friends and saw more of the dark side of humanity. He never took acid again. So having said that, I don't think I will ever try acid. I'm grateful that I never have. In one tragic LSD trip, an operations officer and biochemist, Dr. Frank Olson, had a drink spiked with LSD and reported to suffer from psychosis. The events of the trip are unavailable, but days later he took his own life by throwing himself out of a 10th floor window of the Stapler Hotel in New York. So, doesn't sound too fun to me. Now, let's get into some of those Flakka stories. One man high on Flakka claimed to be God and attacked a police officer. He was shocked with a taser twice while repeatedly saying he was God. The station also said the man committed sexual acts on a tree. Oh, man. He wanted to fuck a motherfuck tree, bruh. I don't think God would sexually assault a tree. He claimed to be God, then tried to fuck a tree. That's kind of weird. He's like, I am God. Now I will fuck this tree. You better get some lube, man. Trees are rough, you know, all that bark. Get some lube, bruh. Get some lube. Then there's a naked man running through the streets claiming he was being chased by unknown individuals. He said he was running in the street because if he got hit by a car, then they would probably stop chasing him. Well, and you'd probably die too. Another man on Flakka impaled himself on a spiked fence trying to escape from custody. Officials had to use a circular saw to free the man. And then another man can be seen running naked in a big parking garage with his dick, where his dick kept bouncing repeatedly off his forehead to his foot, off of his forehead to his foot, off of his forehead to his foot, off of his forehead to his foot. No, I'm just kidding. His dick wasn't flopping around. But there was a naked man running in a parking garage. Then he jumped onto one person's car while they were backing out of a parking stall. The individual, frightened by the man on Flakka, sped away, with the man still hanging on to the back of the car before being thrown off. After that, he got up and charged to another parked vehicle, an SUV, and dove headfirst right through the back motherfuck window. Man, that had to hurt. I bet he had several cuts and a headache the next day. Cuts and headaches. Jesus criminy, what a drug. And finally, let's get into 9 interesting facts about teens and drug use. Interesting facts. How interesting. Interesting fact number 1. More teens die from prescription drugs than heroin and cocaine combined. So yeah, fuck over-the-counter prescriptions. Just because it's man-made and given out by a doctor doesn't mean it's safe. Although, I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, if it's prescribed by a doctor, then it must be safe. Yeah, fuck right off. Yeah, fuck right. I don't buy it. I'm never taking a pill. The only pill I will take will be like a multivitamin or fish oil. Oh, those fishies. Interesting fact number 2. A third of teenagers who live in states with medical marijuana laws get their pot from other people's prescriptions. Oh, Mary Jane, you slut. Interesting fact number 3. The United States represents 5% of the world's population and 75% of prescription drugs taken. 60% of teens who abuse prescription drugs get them for free from friends and relatives. Interesting fact number 4. Adderall use has increased among high school seniors from 5.4% in 2009 to 7.5% this year. Shit. Interesting fact number 5. By the 8th grade, 28% of adolescents have consumed alcohol, 15% have smoked cigarettes, and 16.5% have used Mary Jane. Oh, Mary, you polyamorous slut. Interesting fact number 6. Teens who consistently learn about the risks of drugs from their parents are up to 50% less likely to use drugs than those who don't. So be a good parent. Tell your kids about the dangers of drugs. Interesting fact number 7. 6.5% of high school seniors smoke pot daily, up from 5.1% 5 years ago. Meanwhile, less than 20% of 12th graders think occasional use is harmful, while less than 40% see regular use as normal. Interesting fact number 8. About 50% of high school seniors do not think it's harmful to try crack or cocaine once or twice, and 40% believe it's not harmful to use heroin once or twice. I mean, if you can keep it to once or twice, then yeah, but I suppose you'd be fine. I've done both once or twice, and I'm fine. I never let addiction get to me, and if you're strong-willed, then you're trying it once or twice. I guess I can be okay. Just don't do it any more than motherfucking once or twice. If at all. I suggest you don't do it at all. Interesting fact number 9. Teens who masturbate while high on cocaine have a 98% chance of their cock shooting off of their bodies at around 200 miles an hour, which can usually result in the cock flying through the walls of their home, some landing in cars driving by, scaring the drivers as the penis lands on their passenger seat, still throbbing. Nah, I'm sorry, that's not a true fact. I'm sorry about that. Okay, dudes. Okay, knowledge noggins. That will do it for episode 7. This will be the longest episode I've done so far. It might be pushing an hour, I'm not sure at this point. I hope I didn't bore you. Stay tuned for episode 8. I know I said I was thinking of doing history video games, but maybe that will be in the future sometime. So having said all of that, episode 8 will be about aliens. Aliens. Motherfuck aliens. Yeah, we're going to get into some alien shit. Thanks for tuning in, Knowledge Noggins. I will see you on the flip side, motherfucker. Much love and peace out.